Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan, the YouTube channel not hosted by a sociopath, a narcissist, or a grifter. So anyway, on last Friday's live stream, you guys let me know that Tim Shieff recently made a video coming out and apologizing to all us vegans who got pissed off at him after he just bashed veganism, threw veganism under the bus on his way out after he left veganism, blaming a vegan diet for all his health issues and problems he was having in his life. So I'm quite curious to see what he's gonna say. Like, is he gonna, really show that he's a changed person now and he really feels bad about the misinformation and lies and just irresponsible stuff he did as a vegan and the horrible stuff he said after? Turns out, no, this is a weirder story than I ever thought. I'll just give you a couple hints now. He's supposedly, as you'll see, joined some kind of weird vegan cult, even though they don't call themselves this, and apparently has to apologize for all the smack he talked in the past in order to fit in well with this vegan cult. But anyway, let's jump into his video.
Many of you who have followed this channel for a while may know that I was vegan for some years from around 2012. Well, along with feeling like a hero for the planet, at the time and for a few years after, I noticed some great improvements in my health. But after a while, these tapered off, and I started to sense my health wasn't right, and I started to explore and experiment with a wide variety of things that my research suggested me to try.
Yeah, research. Yeah, we'll see what that research meant here in a second. And notice how he just keeps talking about health. That's all veganism was for him. Just a tweak to see what it'd do for his health, what it'd do for his athleticism. But let's continue.
I tried many conventional approaches and many unconventional approaches.
Unconventional? Yeah, that's an understatement. Such as urine drinking.
Magic juice right here.
Oh, I need some of that. What is it, vodka?
You want some?
And need I say, urine drinking has nothing to do with veganism. Vegans don't need to drink urine, and you could drink urine and not be a vegan.
And while some of these made me feel better in some areas, I still sensed something wasn't right overall and continued to search. Finally, I was convinced a long water fast was all I needed to reset my system.
And once again, intentionally starving yourself for over a month has nothing to do with veganism. And let's just check out his water fast here. Let me just show you how extreme this was.
35 days, I've come to the decision to end my fast. Upon breaking this fast, just like the breaking of dawn on the first day of spring, not far around the corner, are more sweeter fruits than the yesteryear, juicier and riper than ever before to come. And that's the faith that I hold. And I ask you to hold that faith for me as well.
It was crap like this that got a lot of people like myself upset with him back in the day who want us to have faith in these extreme, non-scientifically proven methods of healing when he should have just went to a medical doctor to help him with his gut and digestive issues. But no, instead of doing that, what any normal person would do when they're not feeling good, no, let's drink urine, let's starve ourselves for 35 days.
But after that failed still to offer any lasting benefits, I felt ever more desperate. It was this desperation, however, that freed me from my own dogmatic vegan mindset that I had.
Dogmatic vegan mindset? There's no dogma about veganism. In fact, let's show Tim what veganism really is, since he thinks it's something about health or something like that, and the definition is very clear. It's not about you, Tim. It's not about healing yourself. It's about animals, not harming animals. It's a stance against animal cruelty and exploitation. If there's any dogma involved here, Tim, it was with your refusal to go see a doctor. So you should have let go of your dogma against seeking medical help.
And that was when I made the decision to experiment with reintroducing animal products into my diet. When I did this, I felt an increase in my health, and things I took as signs of vitality appeared to improve. I spoke to many others at the time who had almost identical experiences when doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about, Tim. I did lots of videos back then about these other raw foodists and water fasters, people doing weird extreme forms of eating and dieting that have nothing to do with being vegan. And lo and behold, your guys' health all gets wrecked and you blame it on veganism.
At that point, I chose to be very vocal about it. I strongly believed the vegan diet to be the cause of my declining health, and that not only me, but others were suffering too.
All right, everyone, repeat after me. Your vegan cult leader here. There is no such thing as a vegan diet. There are infinite amount of ways you could construct a vegan diet. You can construct it in really irresponsible ways like Tim, these raw fooders are doing, or you can construct it in healthy, sensible ways. In fact, if you look at the opinions of health organizations around the world, they say vegan diets are healthy, provided that you do it in a balanced, sensible way. Not every wacky, zany, extreme form of eating just plants is necessarily healthy. You have to do it in a responsible way, and this is what got a lot of people like myself pissed off, is that people like Tim doing these wacky, zany, extreme forms of fasting and fruitarianism, they have problems on that, and they blame veganism as a whole. No, veganism didn't fail you. You failed to do it responsibly.
But that they may have been trapped within the same blinkered vegan mindset that I had, and I wanted to help them break free from this dogma as I felt I had done. I knew many within the vegan community looked up to me because of my athletic ability as a representation and a beacon of health within veganism. But when I didn't feel good, I felt it was only right that I was honest about that.
Well, if you were truly honest, Tim, you would have admitted that you were doing extreme ways of eating that were not recommended by any health organization in the world. You're doing your own thing, failing to see medical doctors, and then blaming veganism for failing you and causing your health problems.
Well, as you can imagine, the response was quite varied. I got attacked by many in the vegan community. People I considered friends turned on me.
I mean, yeah, you were going on TV and telling the whole world how you are a hunter now.
What made me go vegan in the first place was the emotional disconnect from seeing the animals being killed. Now, if I'm going to consume an animal, I feel like it's my duty as a human to face that, embrace it myself, and feel whatever emotions come up, and then that will then make me at least consume more consciously.
I can see now that I chose to resist being humble and didn't really allow myself to just feel how misunderstood I felt. And I simply dug my heels in and continued to speak out against the diet. Well, it was shortly after that, my now friend but stranger at the time, Bex, approached me in David Lloyd's gym in Derby, who had seen how much I was searching with some of my struggles and with my diet and the backlash I'd received online.
So that pretty much ends Tim recounting his past bashings of veganism, and it gets more towards the present time, why he's making this actual video apologizing to vegans. And you'll see, now is when it really starts getting weird with this raw vegan cult he's now hooked up with.
It was the teachings of divine truth that offered me a perspective on my battles with diet and health that no one or nowhere else had given me up until that point.
So he talks a lot about this divine truth group that he's been hooked up with, and they are who's responsible for his new way of thinking. And as you'll see, this apology towards vegans to vegans, they're described as a movement taught by Alan John Miller, known as AJ, who claims to be the reincarnation of Jesus, and his partner claims to be the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. So yes, let me present to you Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and they happen to be friends of Tim Shieff's. What a coincidence.
The truth is, everything I tried to solve up until that point was still all physically focused. I tried to solve everything by changing what I was putting into my body. And when it didn't work, I blamed the things that I was inputting.
Well, sort of. I really heard you blame eating plants, but I never really heard you blame not eating food for 35 days or drinking urine or eating nothing but fruit for like many, many months as maybe perhaps what was the cause of your problems.
It does seem obvious now. Hindsight is 20/20. But what I had never considered was how my emotional state was affecting my body, my organs, and limiting its ability to digest food and absorb nutrients. In the same way, we all know stress affects the body's ability to function. I am still quite new to looking at things from an emotional perspective. I don't think I've made much progress with it yet, but I can't deny how much clearer a picture it paints on my own struggles. And it puts the responsibility onto me. Since coming to understand and believe things this way, intellectually at least, it has humbled me to see my own errors and arrogance of beliefs and statements of the past.
You know, at this point, I can't really tell how much of what Tim's saying is him speaking sincerely and how much of it is the new cult beliefs poking through. But if you're sincerely admitting your arrogance, which you had a whole boatload of back then, cool, awesome.
I can now see a way that veganism is possible for me and others.
possible for others. Veganism has always been more than possible for others. Again, forget your arrogant opinions. Let's look at the opinions of actual health organizations from around the world who say that properly planned vegan diets are more than possible. They're nutritionally adequate.
And that if veganism didn't appear to work for me, that it may very well have been my issue with an emotional cause and not the diet's issue.
Well, my opinion is this emotional thing is just a bunch of nonsense from this vegan cult that we'll see. They're all into how our emotions affect our ability to handle food or something like that. No, your problem, Tim, was just your arrogance back then of just doing all these weird extreme things and not just focusing on what veganism is. It's not about you. It's not trying to attain optimal health and all this stuff. It's about not harming animals. It's not about you, Tim. It's about animals.
I would like to publicly apologize for my denouncement of veganism.
So when I first saw this video, I thought, wow, Tim is a grown person. How mature of him to take responsibility for all the smack he talked about veganism. Awesome. He must be like really cool now. But once I saw this cult he's in, this Divine Truth cult, and how they're all about vegan food, let's move on to, I'll show you exactly what's going on here. I think this is why Tim made the video. It's not for some self-realization he made about how his past transgressions or something.
I'd like to thank the teachings of Divine Truth, Jesus, Mary, and Bex, and Anna.
So did you hear that? Did your ear catch that? Tim Shieff personally thanked Jesus and Mary, the incarnations of them. He works with these people personally. Anyway, let's move on to some document that Angie found on the Divine Truth website where they explicitly talk about their beliefs about veganism and raw foodism. So this person named Lucette sends an email to Mary and Jesus. So the email begins, "Hello, Mary and Jesus. I am emailing to ask for advice regarding the raw food vegan diet." And Jesus himself replies back saying, "Myself and Mary eat mostly a raw vegan diet, but we do not mind eating cooked food when we have it." So what I'm hearing from that is they eat a vegan diet. I don't know if they're ethical vegans, but they eat a vegan diet and they prefer to eat raw whenever possible. And they say most people eat a heavy meat and carbohydrate-based diet in order to suppress their emotions relating how they feel about themselves. When a person becomes vegetarian, then a vegan, this addiction to suppress these emotions is not met as easily through food. And notice how they're talking about emotions. This is what Tim spent a lot of time talking about, his emotions, how he's working through his emotions and how these emotions are related to our diets. They say a person who stops eating meat for the right moral reasons, and I assume they're talking about ethical reasons, they should be more clear, is usually, but not always, it depends on the reason, in a better condition of love than a person who eats meat. And remember how Tim had poor digestion. They say here, most people with poor digestion refuse to accept the truth by feeling it emotionally about their parents' real treatment of them when they were a child. Most adults remain in complete denial of the pain of their childhood caused by their parents.
So, I have learned that my suffering was, and is, twofold. One, unexpressed emotions from childhood, stored in my soul and manifesting in my body.
So these ideas that Tim's speaking about in his video about his emotions from childhood, manifested in his body, affecting him to be able to eat plants and not be vegan. I mean, these ideas about the emotions relating to our eating, they aren't his. They just come straight from the dogma, from the beliefs of his cult that he's into, which makes me question the whole sincerity of his video. I mean, it just seems like, to me, maybe I'm wrong, comment down below, but let me know if you think too as I do. It just seems he has to make a video like this so he doesn't look bad in the eyes of his new cult leaders, Jesus and Mary, because they're vegans. How can they have this guy in their fold that they're befriending who has a well-known history of bashing vegans, saying how horrible it is, it causes you to be sick, people shouldn't do it. And so I think he has to reconcile this to be in his new cult. And I think this is kind of hilarious too, that, I always joke about, hey, veganism's not a cult, but I'll step up and take the credit for being the vegan cult leader. Well, it turns out there really is a vegan cult. So anyway, guys, leave your questions and comments down below. Let me know what you thought about Tim's apology video here, and let me know if you knew anything about this vegan cult connection before I told you about it. Is someone else talking about it? I haven't heard about it yet, so let me know what your thoughts about this. And I got it going, guys. Remember, doesn't suck being vegan. Also, subscribe to our channel. Bye, guys.